Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at Immortals of Aveum, and I think it's time we had that talk. Now, it's not that often that I do talks like this about the games, but this one definitely deserves the attention I'm giving it. So, Immortals is the semi-new game. It's been released, and let's talk about a couple things first. Number one, this is a demo version, so keep that in mind. It's a rather important point. Number two, the game requirements. The minimum GPU for this game is a 1070 8GB version, and the recommended GPU is a 3080 Ti. So as you can see, pretty big jump in between the GPU requirements. So essentially the 10 series and then 3000 series, and not any 3000. It's not 3060, it's not 3070, it's straight up to the 3080, just a little bit shy of everything else. So I'm not gonna talk about the performance of this game, but I'm gonna talk that certain things has gone a little bit out of hand lately. Number one, this game is not your AAA very known publisher as anything else that we've seen lately. This is a small studio, dedicated team, and they've made this game in Unreal Engine 5, which by all means is definitely a way forward. Ever since the Matrix demo for PlayStation 5 dropped, and then it was available with an Unreal Engine implementation on PC, and you could just play around, and that kinda showed that all those nanites and everything else that Unreal Engine 5 is taking advantage of is not exactly translating in smooth experience for PC users, which probably is a win in console player books. However, there's a thing when it comes to this game, and I think it's easier for me to show and tell than just talk. So, we're starting off with a 4K native, full screen, no vertical sync, frames are uncapped. We're not going to use DLSS or frame generation. NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency is off. The same goes for AMD FSR. Graphics wise, and this is the first little surprise. So you have an allocated budget of your hardware's capabilities. How they manage to measure your hardware is beyond me. But so far my GPU, which is a 4070 Ti, is rated at 810 points, and my CPU, which is an i5 96K stock, is rated at 395, which for me is a little bit ridiculous because it's a 9th gen CPU, and on stock speeds it's nothing exactly you would write home about. And when we go through the settings, as you can see, the settings are kind of separated into costs, okay? So I know that this game is about skill trees and progression and magic, and this honestly is a magical site. You see that all these settings are kind of divided into how much you're going to be paying with your GPU and how much you're going to be paying with your CPU, and then you can kind of balance it out to reach the optimal thing for the game. Even the devs say that, hey, exceeding this budget, the fake budget, will cause the game to have performance issues. I mean, that's a nice disclaimer, you know, you're above budget, that's your fault. So I started looking at what exactly is this budget and where does it ties in, and here are some things that I noticed. Shadow quality is very costly. It costs 100 GPU units and only 10 of CPU. Okay, fair enough. At the same time, post-processing quality, which is in my opinion the biggest takeaway for the performance, is rated at 20 and 10. Okay, fair enough. Going down the list, global illumination quality is 160 and CPU cost is 50. So it's not mentioning what kind of global illumination are we using. Is that your regular HBO Plus? Are we gonna have an RTX implementation? No idea. The game does not have Vulkan API, and it runs in DirectX 12 natively. So I guess, you know, just one of those Unreal Engine 5 things. Anisotropic filtering, as you can see here, times 16, is rated as 0 everywhere. Now, I kinda have a little bit of a discussion here that anisotropic filtering cannot, by any means, cost 0 for the GPU or the CPU, because you see the GPU needs to make sure that every line around every object is being filtered times 2, 4 or 8 or 16 in some cases to remove the shimmer and the jagged edges. Kind of like what anti-aliasing is doing, but anisotropy filtering and anti-aliasing usually walk hand in hand, depending on a game. You can definitely try playing Ghost Recon Wildlands with anisotropy filtering at off, and then times 16 and tell me that your frames didn't change. I would like to see that happen. Scrolling down, we see that a lot of things are kind of giving away what's going to happen. Cinematics depth of field quality is costing us 40 GPU and 20 of CPU, which means that this is not a pre-rendered cutscene. It's being rendered real time, so we can actually apply the depth of field effect on a scene. So unless we have 4 versions of every cutscene with already pre-adjusted depth of field, which I believe is not the case. We're moving forward. Cinematics motion blur quality, same, 20/20, okay, fair enough. Particle quality, 60/20. Shadow mesh quality, 120/10. So, here's the thing. This is the second time I'm making this video, and I'm trying to keep it to the point as much as possible, but the point is, all of this budget does not matter. This game literally is refusing to run without DLSS enabled. It's just how it is. Shadow resolution quality, 310/10. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna launch this game as it is. No DLSS, native 4K, with all these settings. And you're gonna see how it all looks. So I'm gonna start a new game, Apprentice, just so you get the feel for it. And as much as I understand that this is about first-person magic and abilities, some things do not exactly sit with me right, because when it comes to the graphical fidelity, Unreal Engine 5 is pretty much unmatched. It brings out everything in a world, in the objects and stuff like this. And I just fail to see where is this implemented in this game. And obviously you could go on Steam, you could go on independent reviewers, even more independent than I am, which is probably a thing, but none of them is telling that, hey, this game's performance is spot on. You know, this is not next Starfield. This is not Forspoken. This is just another game, and boy oh boy does it run barely. So we're gonna watch the cutscene a little bit. We technically could skip it, but just remember we're on 4K Ultra everywhere.
Surrendered in shame. Their magna burned alive as they watched. Stripped of magic, the armies of Glavegate fell. To Sandrak, the bold and terrible tyrant of Resham. They called him their ruler, as he was of east and west, and the horns of their ancestors trumpeted blood in protest.
Hardcore.
Hush.
Passage to the sands of Oromon was secured. The Sky Islands,
Careful.
unaware the Everwar
I'm being
approached
careful.
with winged
As careful as
sand
last time.
at its
Careful,
head. And the wound
That's not a word.
in our earth yawned wide as he spoke, declaring,
The Magni of their order now vanish.
Damn.
You think Sandrak really talks like that?
I'm concentrating.
Maybe he bores his enemies to death.
I'm
Hidden from the faces of the
concentrating.
Pentasad, but line.
but I am not.
But I am not the men content to simply wonder.
I am. I'm wondering at every third word.
We're distracted. Go, go, go.
No one cares about us in Norman.
Pull it up.
Sandrak's coming our way.
Got it. Let's go.
Ladies, gentlemen, everyone please take your seats.
Hey, wait up. Luna.
Over here, Jack.
So, here we are. And what do we have? We have exactly what you see on the screen. Video memory being pulled, 9.7 gigs of allocated memory and 12 gigs of RAM. And we are kinda around 40-ish frames. Okay, so technically for 4K Ultra, Unreal Engine 5, I honestly would not expect anything else, in all honesty. So for a game to actually straight out of the bat say you need 3080 Ti for a recommended GPU is a kind of steep requirement, so my condolences to everyone else who does not have it. Is this playable? Absolutely not. This is actually quite terrible. And the thing is, despite the fact that Unreal Engine 5 is the graphical pinnacle of the current engine, I just fail to see where all this eye candy exactly is hiding, because this is honestly Anthem level. This is nothing new. I just fail to see. There's no light scattering. That skybox actually looks good, but that's exactly what it is. It's a skybox. It's not dynamically changing day and night cycle. We're losing focus and we're losing graphical fidelity at draw distance, so all that is kind of like a blur. And I honestly can see, even here, you see this little post here in the middle of the screen? Look at all that shimmer down there, right? So your anisotropic filtering is, well, kind of not exactly there where you want it to be. So here comes the second thing, right? So this is on native. If I go over to display, and just for the sake of argument, I enable frame generation. There you go. We're already pretty much a little bit under 60, but at least this is playable. We're pulling 10 gigs of RAM, I mean video memory, and slightly less RAM than before. Go figure that one out. If we go for settings again, and we actually enable DLSS on quality, we're at 70-ish frames, right? So we will drop in certain places below 60. As I said, I ran this weird instance of game demo before, and just trust me. So my point is, how exactly does this stack up? If you want to play native resolution, that means that everyone who actually wants to have full experience, and 4070 Ti is not exactly the slowest of the cards, how can you achieve that for the game? And the point is that this is a demo version. So back in the day, if you remember and you're old enough, you had the gaming magazines. So every gaming magazine, there were quite a few of them, would come with a disc, and the disc would contain up to 3 to 5 demos of upcoming hot games. So out of 10 games you can expect at least 3 demos. And that was the time of the physical copies. So if you play the demo and you like the game, it's most likely that you will actually see if your rig can handle it, and then you're gonna buy it. Now, long gone are those days. We're back into digital era, cloud services, you know. And yeah, I just don't understand why they don't provide demos for everyone for every game. Because to be fair, it's much easier to entice the person to spend money on a game after playing a demo, which is polished and at least gives the false sensation that, you know, this game can run, rather than not have it. But this demo just proves the point that, honestly, I don't think anyone will actually play this game. So, just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna turn off DLSS, gonna turn off frame generation, turn off vertical sync, apply the changes, and play a little bit like this. Okay?
Come on, let's slide down.
After you.
If this game will ever go to
How much did we
consoles,
get?
I want to see what they're gonna
I
pull off.
provided moral support. Maybe the others made out better.
One can hope.
Did Caleb ever tell you his plans for this caper he's got in mind up in Topside?
I think he just likes to say caper.
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 It's a fun word.
Feels sneaky. Also, you two stay out of topside. No one's using the cargo lift. Come on. So I wasn't paying attention. What was the play about?
Kalthus surrendered to Sandrak, and then he burnt all their Magnite. Alive.
Well, that's not nice at all. What kind of message does that send? It's pretty rude, if you ask me.
That Sandrak is a boss. That's what it says.
You missed the part where he's called the Tyrant of Rashan, right?
You said you weren't paying attention.
Maybe I just wanted to see what you took away from it all. Let's cut through the market.
Sure, but let's keep an eye out for the constables. The market seems kind of dead tonight.
There's talk of a bunch of airships coming into dock. Some hivers probably think they can make easy money unloading cargo.
Maybe that's what we should have done instead of stealing from the hat guy. He was a bust.
By any metric, a man with a hat indicates a perfectly respectable mark.
That sounds made up.
Right, so here we are. As you can see, this is the actual game performance in native 4K ultra settings, everything. And here's the fun fact. We have 36 frames. Gonna go to settings, go to graphics. We're way above our preferred budget. So let's reduce the budget. Shadow quality makes sense, absolutely useless. Shadow is a shadow, who cares? No one. At least I don't see the point of having shadows enabled because, well, considering we have RTX in majority of the titles, the shadows are actually quite dynamic and they're actually reproduced correctly. Post-processing quality, well, I do like my effect, so I'm gonna use it as it is. Global illumination quality, 160. Okay, so let's get that. Oh, it wants a restart, so we're gonna leave it on. Fine. As you can see, certain features do want us to restart the game. We're gonna leave the anisotropic filtering since it takes 0 from us. We're gonna take off everything else that is a heavy hitter, so that will be shadow mesh quality. We're gonna put it down, so we're already at 840 out of 810. And we can take off the shadow resolutions, put it on low as well, and we're at 650 at 810. So technically that means we can up it a bit. And maybe even squeeze this one in. There we go. So we're well within our budget now. Let's apply the changes. And come back. Yay, we gained 5 frames. If we walk around, we're back where we started. 33, 36. Okay. Okay. I know what you're saying. This is 4K Ultra. What do you expect? Everything else is tanking your frames. Fair enough. Fair enough. I hear you. We're gonna hit reset. So what it will do, it would actually set the game on what the hardware scan of this game recommends to have. So we'll see what it actually puts us on. Let's hit reset, wait a little bit, and we're set on everything high. GPU budget drops down to 630, so CPU budget 220. So we should be absolutely fine. Look at this. Global illumination quality at low, anisotropic at 4. Perfect. Apply the changes. Why not? Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. We come back and we're at 42 frames still. So we're no longer running Ultra. And the game is exactly back where it was. 35 frames and so on and so forth. And is this playable? Not by a long shot. I mean, if I really would wanted to play the game, probably I would suffer through it, but considering this is a first-person magical game where you have a lot of combat and a lot of different sparkly effects is gonna happen, and you know have a lot of enemies and you need to be precise, well, I honestly cannot see how this will improve your gaming experience. So here's the thing that I'm trying to get across, and I do believe I'm failing. Let's enable DLSS on balanced. Let DLSS figure its own stuff out. Instantly 80 frames. Or at least above 60-ish. And still it's gonna drop down below 60. And if we go back again and we enable the frame generation, we're now pushing 100 with certain dips again all the way down to 70 and high 60s. This is still more playable. And visually, this is my biggest issue. Visually the game hasn't changed at all. So as you know, there's some games where adjusting graphical settings does not actually give you the eye candy or doesn't even diminish it. Quite a few of them around, to be fair. But the question is, if changing the settings between ultra and high does not change graphical fidelity, but also does not give you the performance, why even include it? Like, let's be real here. Let's turn this off. This goes off again. Vertical sync is off. Perfect. Apply the changes. Let's continue on. Well within the budget, actually below it. Let's see how it goes.
So, when are you gonna tell them? Are you gonna tell them?
Maybe, I don't know. Feels late for it now.
You made it late.
Because I hate goodbyes.
Sure. I get that.
Ugh.
What's up? You're in no hurry to get back.
No.
You're thinking how much you're going to miss this garbage heap.
Please, would you?
Don't call my home a garbage heap.
I don't want to spend my life living above a bottomless hole in the ground, Jack.
We don't technically know if the wound is totally bottomless.
All signs point to yes.
They'll be okay, Luna. I'll watch over them.
I've got an idea.
Target practice?
Why not? It's our civic duty as citizens of the Seren Underbridge.
It's janitorial work.
Probably would have made more money clearing off these lurge barnacles than we did at that play.
Fair. You're all about duty right now, aren't you? Nice. You'll make a good soldier. I hear they give better uniforms to the lightless that can summon a little magic like this.
There's a war, Jack. It's not about the uniform.
Or maybe it's better boots.
Cheese, Jack.
Wait, what?
Soldiers get to eat real cheese. Boots are just extra.
Huh. Rasharn's got no idea what's coming.
Made corporal, I can even buy land. A whole farm just full of boots.
Look, I know I keep saying I get it, but I don't. Not really. You're the first person I've met that actually wants to fight in the Everwar.
No one escapes the draft, Jack.
They do all the time. You're not even going to try.
Besides, I don't want to fight in the Everwar. I want to fight for Lucium.
Exactly the same thing?
Just shut up and shoot. All done. Let's go.
When they ship you off to fight in the Everwar, where do you think they'll end up sending you?
Who knows? Maybe I have just enough magic not to be considered lightless, and I'll have a say in where they send me. A Magnus gets a say. Probably.
No offense, but what we do is kind of like pew pew pew. A Magnus is like pow bang brrrah. I mean, it's not even a contest.
Yeah, some magic might as well mean no magic as far as the Magni are concerned. Oh, I can smell Fife's stew from here.
Pretty sure the whole neighborhood can. You know, everything he cooks tastes vaguely like regret.
So yeah, this is the game. Now, this is also one of the games that I was actually looking forward to, because after playing Hogwarts Legacy, you know, despite its certain performance shortcomings that were luckily fixed with a couple patches, I thought this might be something along the lines, you know, you're magical, you can do things and stuff like this. Not that far ago we had another game with magic and some weird gauntlet and making the gauntlet work and stuff like this. So what I think about this game, right? I think that the way the developers are now telling us that we need to actually rely on DLSS or FSR, and there's no Vulkan support, which for me is a little bit weird. It's kind of interesting and a little bit worrying at the same time, because 3080 Ti as a recommended GPU, it's not a bad card at all. It's actually one of the very, I would say, some people call it a mid-tier. I would say it's mid to high-tier cards actually, and we had it on our channel. We run a benchmark between 3070 Ti and 3080 Ti. We ran a benchmark before between 3070 Ti, 4070 Ti and 3080 Ti and 4070 Ti, and honestly, it's a powerful card. Now, granted, you could possibly play this game on full HD, medium to high, maybe some ultra settings, but anything that is settings related just kind of screams at me that you possibly could get around with medium settings and the game somehow actually looks better. It's sharper. It actually lets you look at all of this without being blown out of the proportions and also not blowing up your PC. As you can see, the whole point, which for me a little bit grinds my gears, that the allocated budget doesn't mean everything. Like, I know that 4K is stupid. It's taxing. It's, you know, probably is just useless to run these benchmarks in 4K for myself, but at the same time, it does surface some certain things. For instance, anisotropic filtering is set to 4, even though the cost to GPU and CPU was 0. Okay? So, just things like this. I mean, I understand devs are trying to give you a heads up of what the approximate impact on the performance each and every one of these settings could give you, but end of the day, I mean, come on, you know, it's just a little bit weird for me. It's just a little bit weird, because we can always turn on DLSS. That's never been the problem. No, it's never been the problem to turn on DLSS. But to then end up with the 40 frames, and we were at 40 frames in 4K Ultra, is it really worth it? I do not know. And this is still medium. So yeah, that was all I wanted to tell you guys. So I don't know, maybe sleep on it a little bit. Maybe this game will get patched, you know, some revisions, some performance patches, day 1, week 1, month 1, year 2. But I would say, despite the fact that devs are pushing the envelope with new engines and they're pushing for graphical fidelity, I think there must be a better way to approach this. There's got to be a better way to approach this. But hey ho, what do I know? Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new, and let me know down in the comments below what are your feelings about games that are coming out like this with these requirements, and then you play around with it, you tinker around, and you find out what you find out. Let me know. Anyhow, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Over and out.